Hello again, folks. Robert Craig here. I want to continue on kind of along the same lines as we've been on. We were talking about death, where people go, and we moved on. Last time, I think we talked about what people expected out of the resurrection in the Old Testament. And of course, it turns out they expected to be resurrected to a new life and live on earth. There never was any hint in the mind of Israel about what we would call going to heaven, as we so commonly use it today. Luke chapter 19, the first, the first 10 verses. It's concerned with a man who climbed the sycamore tree as Jesus and his group passed through Jericho. And immediately after that, now they're going toward Jerusalem, of course. And in verse 10, or verse 11, and as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom should immediately appear. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, Occupy till I come. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him, saying, We will not have this man to reign over us. That was verse 14. We're going to come back to that and look at the parallels here. Verse 15, it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded those servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound hath gained 10 pounds. And he said unto him, Well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in a very little, have thou authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound hath gained 5 pounds. And he said likewise to him, Be thou also over 5 cities. And another came, saying, Lord, behold, here's thy pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I feared thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layedst not down, and reapest that thou didst not sow. And he saith unto him, Out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore then gavest not thou my money into the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury? And he said unto them that stood by, Take from him the pound, and give it to him that hath 10 pounds. And they said unto him, Lord, he hath 10 pounds. End of parable. He turns to the disciples and says, For I say unto you, that unto every one which hath shall be given, and from him that hath not, even that he hath shall be taken away from him. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. And when he had thus spoken, he went before, ascending up to Jerusalem. Let's go back to verse 14. Does that kind of remind you a little bit of what John said He came unto his own, and his own received him not. And also Paul said the same thing. He said that the elect hath attained it, and the rest were blinded. He's talking about the rank and file people of Israel. It's a well-known fact that even though Jesus spent 3 years going up and down and preaching and teaching in Israel to the Jews, the biggest part of them rejected him. I mean, he won over what maybe less than 1,000 people during his lifetime. We have a record we looked at in 1 Corinthians 15 that said that at one point after the resurrection he was seen of over 500 brethren at one time, the greater part of whom remain alive unto this day. That is, at the writing. Well, the point is here, that is just a drop in the bucket compared to the millions that lived in Israel. That is almost nothing. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. His own is not humanity in that context. It's the nation of Israel. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God. That's out of first chapter of John's Gospel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just calling that out of memory. There was something else here too. Yeah, different levels of rewards according to their abilities. One man was a regular deal maker. He made 1,000% profit on what had been entrusted to him. And now, in the kingdom, he's going to be given authority over 10 cities. You know that has to be on earth because it's in the kingdom. But besides that, we have no record of Scripture that says that there's more than one city in heaven. Well, I think that's going to cover it for tonight. And tomorrow, I'd like to look at rewards for the church. And they'll be in a totally different arena. Thank you so much for watching. And may the Lord bless this reading of the Holy Scripture. I'll see you next time.